You know, all of those things you tell yourself you're going to get to one day. For me, one of those things that keeps coming up again and again is video games. I keep making lists of all these games I want to play, or games that are fun or recommended to me, and I never seem to find the time for them. So in 2019, I'm making a change. Hey WordNerds, happy Saturday. So because Saturday is the day of the week where we get to go off the book, so to speak, I wanted to jump into a topic that I have been really enjoying so far in 2019 that isn't remotely book related, and that is video games. Because there are so many games I either picked up on sale or had meant to play forever or I'd always wanted to go back to, I challenged myself in 2019 to play 100 different games. I didn't set any sort of deadlines in terms of how many hours I needed to play or if I needed to beat them. I just needed to jump into 100 games, whether they were ones I had played before or were completely new to me. So that meant playing about 8.5 games per month, and so far I am on track and I have been really enjoying myself. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the games I've been playing, ones I think you guys might enjoy if video games are your thing as well, and some of the ones I'm looking forward to in the future because I think this is going to be a really fun year. The first two games I played at the beginning of January were ones I would have played anyway, and those were Overwatch and Just Dance. Overwatch is kind of a fantasy fighting game. There's a bit of shooting, but also a bunch of really cool either fantasy or sci-fi powers that just comes together in this big battle scenario with a bunch of outrageous, really cool characters. I've been playing it forever. I'm still loving it. If any of you are playing it, let me know down below. That one is available on PC and a couple different consoles, I think. I play on PC and I play it almost every day. The other one being Just Dance, and that is kind of my workout routine. It is a game I play on Wii that gives you a dance routine. You have to follow along with the controller in your hand where it racks up how many calories you burn or how many of the steps you hit and gives you a score at the end. I just find it a really engaging way to work out, and I'm trying to play it a couple times a week. It's a lot of fun. I always have a good time, and now that I have a Fitbit, I am racking up my steps a little bit more easily, which is always a bonus. The first new game I tried was one called Slime Rancher, and it was one I always knew I was going to like, and I did manage to sink a few hours into. Basically, you are this lone rancher on a foreign planet collecting different slime creatures. You're sucking them up into your gun and taking them back to your ranch and feeding them and merging them into different kinds of slimes and exploring this whole area. There's not a lot of fighting or plot. You are just experimenting with these creatures. Really, any games with creatures or animals I am all kinds of into. I did find the gameplay a little bit repetitive eventually, but it was adorable, and I'm sure I will be returning to it again at some point in the future. The next game is also on PC, and it's one called Hidden Folks. It is a hand-drawn game that is a lot like the Where's Waldo or any kind of finding little pictures in a book games that a lot of us played as kids, except these are animated and they have little sound effects as you click them, and some of the images are enormous. So basically they're giving you a list of all these little pictures to find, and you're clicking through the image and trying to figure out where everything is and interacting with the world and making things move around, and all of the noises and drawings are adorable. I didn't get that far into it. I did play about an hour and it was kind of fun, but I knew I wanted to move on and try some other things. One game that I tried and did not like, although I wasn't super surprised, was Fortnite. I tried it on my Switch and really only managed to play one game because I had no idea what was going on. I have terrible aim when it comes to guns in any sort of video game, and I don't know, I feel like I could like it if I sunk a bunch of hours into it, but I really don't need something to take over my life, and I mostly just felt lost and like I was never going to be as good as all of the other players I was up against. So I was glad to have tried it so I could say that I gave it a go, but I doubt I'll be going back to that one anytime soon. One that is now and will always be for me is Stardew Valley. It is a little farming simulator game, kind of inspired by all of the Harvest Moon games that I loved growing up. You're basically starting your farm, planting different seeds and growing crops and earning money and mining and fishing and making friends with villagers. And it's just a hoot. I love it forever. I played it before. I've sunk a lot of hours into it. It was nice to go back to it and create a new farm, and I suspect I'll be playing it on and off throughout the year. Always just kind of going back and expanding my game and growing my farm and making new friends, and that game is wonderful. Finally, the last game I'll talk about today, because this video is already getting kind of long, is a game called Banished. It is basically a town simulator game. You have all of these villagers who have been banished to the wilderness, and they have to make their own town and grow their own little civilization, basically finding ways to farm and grow food and hunt and create things to keep themselves alive in very harsh winters. Basically, you are controlling all of these little pioneers and trying to keep them from starving. Meanwhile, they are getting crushed by rocks and dying of diseases, and there's just all of these things that can go wrong. And it can feel pretty bleak at times. I did sink a bit of time into it, but I never super got hooked on it. It just felt like things were moving along too slowly, and I was waiting for things to happen that were outside of my control. So I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but it was still pretty cool, and so many people have loved that game. So if that genre is one for you, absolutely give that one a go. And I will wrap things up here because I could talk about video games for a very long time. The more that I'm playing, the more I want to be finding people to talk about these games with, but this was a pretty nice way to scratch the itch. I will be continuing to play more games throughout 2019, so I'm sure I'm going to talk about this again at some point in the future. But that's it for me today. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for our live chat, which will be happening at 7:30 Eastern Time. In the meantime, happy reading, happy writing, and I'll see you next time.